Hello, it's 3 p.m. in Los Angeles in the U.S., 7 p.m. in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. And here in Accra, it's 10 p.m. and 11 p.m. in London. This is NewsAt10 on TV3, streaming live on Facebook and on 3news.com. We're broadcasting from our news hub at Adisawe, Kanda. Let's start with a summary of the day's news highlights. Newmont Ghana Gold Limited has suspended all operations at both its Ahafo and Achim sites following an accident at the Ahafo site on Saturday, which claimed 6 lives and left 2 workers injured. The Minerals Commission and Newmont Ghana Gold Limited are to lead investigations into the cause of the accident. A flood wall at Asylum Down in Accra has collapsed, and with the onset of the rains, residents are very apprehensive. Water gushes freely into the homes of residents anytime it rains because of the collapsed drain. But with the expected rain in June, we'll be taking a look at what preparations residents in flood-prone areas are undertaking to mitigate the effect of flooding. Farmers in the Upper West region have been asked to adopt a new irrigation facility to enable them engage in all-year sorghum production. The new technology introduced from India is more economical and can boost yields up to 5 tons per hectare. The Ghana Cocoa Board has taken delivery of 3 reach stalkers worth over €1 million. The new equipment will enhance operations and facilitate shipment at ports. And elsewhere, Nigerian military says it has rescued 149 women and children abducted by the armed group Boko Haram in the country's northeast. An army spokesperson said on Sunday the freed captives included 54 women and 95 children. The rescued hostages are currently receiving medical attention and will be profiled later. This is News at 10. We're streaming live from the News Hub. We're broadcasting live from the News Hub at Adisawe, Kanda, and streaming on our Facebook page and on 3news.com. Up next is the big one. Now, mining giant Newmont Ghana Limited has indefinitely suspended mining activities at all of its sites in the country as investigations into the death of some 6 of the firm's subcontractors staff take shape. Minerals Commission has been tasked by the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources to investigate the matter and have 2 weeks to produce a report.
6 persons, all contractor employees of the construction services company Consa Limited, died when the roof of a reclaimed tunnel at the Ahafo Mill Expansion Project, which is under construction, collapsed on them Saturday. The Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, John Peter Amewu, together with some officials of the Minerals Commission, visited the site on Sunday to assess the situation. The minister suspected the accident could be a result of a complete structural failure.
It is clear that the prop that support the slabs, probably might not be well placed, and that could trigger stresses that enable this surface slab, to cave in. About 1,000 cubic meters of concrete, you could just imagine the weight is carried. So, as I've said earlier on, the Minerals Commission has been detailed to take over the site where the sin occurred to investigate and come out with what actually happened.
The bodies of the 6 have since Sunday morning been retrieved from the tunnel. Newmont, which commenced operation in Ghana in 2006, currently operates 2 main mining sites at Achim and Ahafo in the eastern and Bunahafo regions respectively. Following the accident, the company ceased mining operations at the Ahafo site in solidarity with the victims and their families as well as colleagues. Though the suspension could potentially affect the production of the company and its revenue, the acting mines manager Newmont Ahafo told journalists money is not of the essence now, as the company is focusing on investigating the matter and empathizing with the families and the employees.
Suspended operations on the mine completely. So the open pit is not working, the underground is not working, the process plant is not running, just only essential services on the mine are running. The area where the event occurred, that is the Ahafo mill expansion area, will remain closed until the investigation is concluded. We will not restart our operation until we've ensured that every other area has been risk assessed before we resume operations.
Very disturbing situation there. Let's get on to Skype and speak with Nanaya Akwada, who is Executive Director of the Bureau of Public Safety, joining us on Skype. Ms. Akwada, good evening and thank you extremely for your time. When we look at the safety standards at our mines across the country, I cannot hazard to say it's been one of the best, but when it comes to safety with the various mining firms, it's not been that bad. What do you make of this accident, which appears to be could have been avoided actually?
Thank you very much. I think I agree with you that when it comes to safety in our mines in Ghana, in the mining sector actually, the record is not as bad. However, that's the problem with safety. When you run for a very long time accident-free and you lay on your horses, some of these things can happen. So much as we grieve with the families of the deceased and we mourn with them, we should immediately focus on what to do to ensure that such things do not recur. Consa Limited, the company who was contracted to undertake this job, who has lost his staff, is a very well-respected player within the construction sector and the mining sector as well. And so it's important that the investigations are carried out and are carried out very thoroughly, so we are able to pinpoint what happened or the weak links along the chain of incidents. Then we'll be able to stem it out. Our problem, Stephen, if you indulge me, I know you really don't like it when I run on and on. But our problem, however, is the Honorable Minister. I think he's a very good, he's played his role very well. I was a bit disappointed that he sought to preempt, the cause of this accident. I think he should hasten slowly till these things are done, because it involves quite a lot. It's a subcontracting job. So we want to first of all look at the people who have been contracted to do the job, the people on the ground who are executing the job, how experienced are they, what sort of training have they had, and all that, so that at the end of the day, we can use the outcome to tighten the existing regulations to ensure that such things do not recur.
So, Ms. Akwada, let's look at the investigations. They have 2 weeks to investigate this. One, is it 2 weeks enough? Two, what are your expectations of the outcome of such an investigation?
Well, investigations usually, when you are commissioning people to conduct an investigation, you certainly must have a time frame. When they start the investigation and the time frame is not enough, they will revert to the body that commissioned them so that they will get an extension. But I think 2 weeks is fair, especially when the contractor is there, Newmont itself is there, and then also whatever legislation they will have to make reference to will also be there. My understanding is that some people also survive, so it means we are going to have account from their point of view as well as those on the outside. That is one. Our expectations from this report should be thorough. And like I told you, we want to make sure these things do not recur. And one sure way to ensure that they do not recur is to make these reports, or at least the whole batch of recommendations, public, so that the mining companies can circulate these things among themselves and pick up learning points from these, so that we all know that the other day, Newmont Mine contracted a third-party contractor, or contracted a certain company to do this for them. Maybe they failed to do this, they failed to do that, or the contractor failed to do this, failed to do that, and it resulted in this. And so from hence, all of us will have to do X, Y, Z to ensure that such things do not recur. And I think that's where, as a country, we are falling short. The most important documents that we need to make available to serve as learning materials, we often end up keeping them, in the bosom of some minister or on the shelves in some ministry. And that is not good. And if that's going to happen with this case to them, we are sure a few years from now we'll see these things happen again.
Right. Mr. Kwada, we're grateful for your time. Extremely. Thank you very much,
Thank you very much.
Joining us. Nana Kwada is Executive Director of the Bureau of Public Safety. Meanwhile, the Lands and Natural Resource Minister, John Peter Mewu, says he expects the committee tasked to investigate the cause of the accident to scrutinize the structural design of the tunnel that caved in. He further insisted the law will take its course if it is found out that it was due to negligence on the part of the contractors. He spoke in a telephone interview on News 360.
I think it's too early, but none of them have been able to exactly explain what might be the reasons for the civil engineering failure of the reinforced concrete at the site. There have been various school of thoughts around the accident. But understanding I got that during the pouring of the concrete, this is a slab well reinforced with a reinforcement of about 1.5 inch thickness at close intervals of about 150 mm apart, spread over a length of about 90 meter length and about 6 meter wide. The thickness of the slab is about 1 meter depth, and the total volume of 1,000 cubic meters of concrete is expected to be poured on that slab. The slab has been well supported with props and sitting on a metal formwork. And so during the pouring, they might have detected, some instability beneath the structure. I suspected, and this is what we hear, that 2 of them were standing up above, and the other 6 or 8 in number also were asked to go beneath the structure to examine exactly what might be the problem. And as they went down beneath the basement, this reinforced concrete, you could just imagine the weight collapsed.
Minister, are there any sanctions for Newmont considered? I mean, I know they're very strict on adherence to safety measures, but would this happen?
Yeah, well, of course, Ghana, all our mining companies abide by strict safety regulations. And if, of course, it's found out that this is of a mere negligence, we would, of course, hold people responsible. I mean, it's not we as a ministry, but the law. The law makes those framework, and those people, of course, will be dealt with. Again, the contractor involved is a subcontractor. This is Consa Engineering, we were told. And Consa is one of the civil engineering companies that we know very well. And so they are the contractors, engaged in this job. We've also been told, I tried to find out who the designers were. Okay. And those designers are also foreign designers who actually designed the concrete reinforcement that we're thinking about. As to whether the reinforced design has been reviewed by the internal companies, yes, again, they admitted that Newmont on its own has done some review on the design. So we have to look through the whole chain and see exactly what might have happened. What they've not been able to establish, which are acts responsible for the design of the props and the formwork, that they confirm was done by the contractor. So again, you can see a lapse. If an engineering group has designed a concrete reinforcement and another person has to come and design the props and the formwork, then of course there could be some differences in terms of the volume or the weight that the prop is going to carry. Because if that tendency for not well established, that.
This is still News at 10. We're live from the news hub at Adisawe Kanda in Accra. We'll be right back with more news. Welcome back. Now, a flat wall at Asylum Down in Accra has collapsed, and with the onset of the rains, residents are very apprehensive. Water gushes freely into the homes of these residents anytime it rains because of the collapsed drain. And as with the expected rains in June, we are taking a look at what preparations these residents are putting in place ahead of the rains.
Asylum Down is one of many flood-prone areas where damage to lives and property is huge during flooding in the rainy season. Asylum Down is located in the Klote-Korle constituency of the Greater Accra region. In 2015, when Accra experienced its worst floods in decades, Asylum Down was one of the hardest hit areas. Prior to the 2016 elections, the storm drain was constructed to mitigate the huge volume of water flow into people's homes. The last defense to the flood, the storm drain, collapsed last year. Until now, no effort has been made to fix it.
It's uncertain considering this breakage, this broken stuff here. I don't know what's going to happen. Big
Ben, a resident of Asylum Down, says efforts to get the authorities to repair the drain have proved futile.
We used to live with the assemblyman in this same vicinity, but after the district assembly's elections, he left Asylum Down. Anytime you see him, he is in his car. We can't just get up and go to the MP's house. That's why the assemblyman is our representative.
There are visible signs of preparations towards the rains, as this carpenter has begun re-roofing his dilapidated house. Another family was also seen applying mortar to their building. Doorsteps into people's homes are deliberately raised high to prevent water from entering their homes. A heavy downpour in February this year destroyed 10 houses in Asylum Down.
With the rains expected anytime soon, we have to start packing out. I, for instance, have left the area, but I still have some personal belongings here, so please help us.
Other flood-prone areas include the Graphic Road and Adabraka. Kofi Nto, who resides at Adabraka, says he has prepared adequately for any eventuality.
My room usually gets flooded, so I have constructed a wall about 6 to 7 feet. I expect that the wall extension would prevent the water from entering my room. This is a low-lying area, so there is usually heavy flooding.
The Ministry of Works and Housing has estimated it will cost Ghana $700 million to solve Accra's flooding.
And dredging of the Malam Junction drainage system has also commenced in anticipation of flooding. Meanwhile, the Member of Parliament for the area, Wejagbawe, Tina Nayele Mensah, is cautioning residents along the drain to relocate before the rains.
The Meteorological Service Department says the early start of the rainy season is a sign for heavy rains this year. Already, some parts of Accra have experienced varying degrees of flooding. The Wejagbawe constituency is no exception, with flooding being caused by choked and buildings constructed on waterways. In a bid to reduce the intensity of flooding on the Malam-Kaswa Road, Malam and its environs, the main Malam Junction drainage is being dredged. The exercise is targeting the expansion of the drains, removal of waste materials from the drain, including unauthorized structures from waterways. The Member of Parliament for Wejagbawe constituency, Tinana Ayeli Mensah, masterminded the exercise.
Because if there is anything at all, then the trouble is going to be on my doorsteps. We know some are on the low-lying areas, some are built on the waterways and all those things. That will work hand in hand so that we will kettle some of these things.
Some residents spoke about the problems flooding brings to the area.
The flood comes in large volumes, taking over homes and the entire land space. It has been worse the last 3 years because the drain has not been dredged for a long time. This intervention is therefore timely and welcoming.
Assembly member of Malam electoral area, Baba Idrisu, assured of stringent measures to deal with lawbreakers.
When they started putting the structures over here, we came here and told them this place is not authorized to put a structure here. And they refused. They said it's from the chiefs who told them to do that. So what we do is I'll call upon the assembly to come and take control.
And to other stories, General Secretary of the Opposition National Democratic Congress, Johnson Esiedun Ketia, has urged all NDC supporters to begin door-to-door campaigns to galvanize support towards winning election 2020. He was addressing supporters of the NDC after the Unity Walk in Wa. Here's a report by Yakubu Abdul Gafaru.
Addressing party supporters in Wa in the Upper West region after the party's unity walk to galvanize support for the 2020 presidential elections, NDC General Secretary Johnson Esiedun Ketia said the party will reclaim the 5 seats lost to the New Patriotic Party in the 2016 elections. He announced the party will soon hold branch elections, hence the suspension of the party's registration process. Johnson Esiedun Ketia, however, pleaded with the aspiring executives to rally behind the party even if they lose the elections.
You don't need titles to be able to play your part. If you are not an executive member, you can go from house to house, talk to people, convince them and let them come back to join NDC.
He also announced that the NDC party and other political parties will come back to the Upper West region as a coalition of political parties to demonstrate against the military cooperation agreement between Ghana and the United States.
When we come, you will see all the minority parties together. It is not going to be NDC alone, but we are all speaking the same voice. What we are saying is that we will not allow this country to be sold for $20 million.
Other speakers took turns to address the crowd. Later, the party received some members of the New Patriotic Party, Wa Central constituency, who defected to join the NDC.
One person has been killed and 6 others injured after a loaded truck they were on board was involved in a motor accident at Banda in the Kratchis district of the Volta region. Eyewitnesses have attributed the incident to poor regard for traffic regulations.
The accident occurred at about 2 Sunday afternoon when a truck loaded with yam, pepper and some sliced cassava was en route from Banda to Dambai in the Karachi East district. 8 people sat on top of the loaded truck. However, the driver's mate, who is believed to be in his early 20s, tried to escape by jumping off, but the truck fell on him, killing him instantly. 6 others sustained injuries. The driver was not hurt. Police is yet to determine the cause of the accident, but eyewitnesses have linked the unfortunate incident to excessive loading. The victims have been sent to the Banda Health Center for treatment.
And that's how we wrap up with News at 10. Thank you very much for joining us. On behalf of the crew, good night.